it's your boy, the Memphis XL. Alright, welcome you back to check this out. The show, we take a look at what deck we want to take a look at and have ourselves a good old time. And we're back at it. You know, I've been very busy with the holidays, but you know what? The time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now. And the time is, of course, back for the King of Skull Servants, everyone's favorite rogue tier deck that just, it's all about the beatdown. It's not about negating everything, it's about just make Big Bone Daddy hit the opponent really dang hard. And we got ourselves some nice new toys. I never thought that Skull Servants would get even more support than they already did. But Lord, did Konami deliver with just 2 whole cards, just 1 monster, and the first Skull Servant spell. That's pretty powerful. So we got ourselves our deck here today, combining the Skull Servants with the Horus package. Pretty straightforward deck. Dump everything into the graveyard, make massive King of the Skull Servants. So we're going to head out into Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, show off this deck, show off the wombos and the combos, the what do's and the what not do's, and have ourselves a good old time. So without any further ado, let's get right into the action. Alright everybody, our first opponent of the day, another card game. We like to go second with this deck. Can just as well go first. We have options for that, but at its core, Summon Skull is all about that beatdown. What do we have for an opening hand here? Okay. It's not like a perfect opening hand, but it's a start to things. So we'll see how this goes. I do have the white baking for some protection. I've got my field spell to turn everything into zombies. Got my hand trap. I got stuff and things. We're up against the Magistus. I do know that they got support at some point recently, but I have not seen it. I haven't seen anyone play it anyway, so I'm not sure what it does. Probably just more negates. That's what most decks do when they get support nowadays. It's all about the negation and stuff. Not with Summon Skull. I keep calling Skull Servant Summon Skull. It's all in my brain. But yeah, Skull Servant's not about negating things. No. The only thing they negate is your opponent's life points. That's the only thing they ever negate. It's very much a straightforward beatdown sort of thing. Build up 1 monster on top of the corpses of his brothers and sisters, and then just attack the opponent. That's what summons Skull Servants. They're called Skull Servants. Stop it. Konami, can we get some Summon Skull support so I can stop thinking about Summon Skull, please? Anyway, so my opponent, what are you going, Magistus, going into the Wondrous Lady of the Wardrobe. What's this do again? Let's see. Going to summon another Magistus from the deck. Okay. So my opponent's going to be doing his thing with the Magistuses. We'll see in a minute what he's going to do. I know a little bit of what Magistus go into. Like they have a fusion that can steal stuff if I remember correctly. And they got that one synchro. I know he has some negation of extra deck stuff. But we'll see what he does. I'm going to skip ahead until my opponent's done. Because we're going second. And I have no hand traps. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Alrighty, it's finally our turn as I should have expected. It's all about the negates. As one does in modern Yu-Gi-Ohs and stuff. So my opponent's pretty much trying to lock me out of, like, extra deck things. I don't need to worry about that. We're going to start with our boy Gozuki. We're going to use his special ability just to send a zombie from our deck to the graveyard. Let's see. Yeah, he can get rid of me by ditching a Magistus monster. I don't think he's going to do that just yet. But we're going to go ahead. Let's see. Activate zombie. Well, I can't activate unless I'm a zombie, though. That's the problem. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and send our boy. Where is my white baking, number 3? I got both of them in my hand. That's okay. All we need is the one. White baking, the OG support that gave the summon... The Skull Servants what they needed. I will keep calling them that, and I will never stop. Okay, so now we're going to go... We got to our prince. What we're going to do, I really want to get Moissanite, but I don't have another normal summon at the moment. I really wish I did, but don't. So we're definitely going to get White Sworn. Definitely need that guy. Definitely need that guy. And we're going to get White Mayor for now. Oh, and now that we've done that, we had to discard a card. We always want to discard Prince, though. Prince, very good. Then I just send more Skull Servants. You got to tell you the whole idea of this deck. Every one of our monsters counts as Skull Servant in the graveyard. For each one, our King of Skulls will get 1,000 attack. Very, very easy to get over 10,000 attack with this deck, provided you get that right, beautiful hand. And we have a decent enough hand, so he's still going to be big. He's just not going to be maybe as big, but that's okay. So we're going to use White Princess. Weaken all of his monsters, make them tiny. They will each lose 300 attack per level. So that'll make these things, let's see, they're going to be losing, what, 2,400 attack points? Yes, sir. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. What do you say to that one? Huh? What do you see that? Alright, so now how many Skull Servants we have in the grave? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not many, but we'll go for White Sworn anyway. We get to mill cards equal to the number of Skull Servants in the grave. Absolutely busted effect. Absolutely cracked thing that the White Sworn can do. And he can banish himself to revive a Skull Servant from the grave. This is really cool. Let's go ahead and mill 6. Very good. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Alright. Oh no, I milled my Lady in White, number 2. I can't use White Princess effect now, but that's okay. That just cost me 1 Skull Servant, so that's not a big problem. Let's go ahead and banish Mizuki here. Gonna go ahead and bring back just whoever, doesn't really matter too much. You know what, let's bring back... Let's see. Yeah, because Banshee's in there. Let's bring back the OG, just to screw with my opponent. I will summon back the OG. We'll summon forth the Skull Servant, and we're going to go ahead and go into somebody else. And we're going to go for... Really doesn't matter too much who. Then he gives monsters a weaker, so I'm going to go for Avenged Savior here. This will go ahead, give us a monster, and we'll use Gozuki's effect. We're going to banish the Banshee, because we can't use it no more. This will let us summon one of our monsters from our hand. If we just get another monster on the board. It doesn't really matter who. Just a matter of like getting more monsters around. So we'll summon White Baking, and we'll use him later. So, we're going to go ahead and use one of our White Princes now. Banishing 2 of our Skull Servants. You always go for the Vanilla and the Lady. Unless otherwise needing something else, but typically that's what you'll do. Typically that's what we do. We'll see where this goes now. Got that Zoro the Magistus. Really wish I could have summoned a Lady with this effect, but that's okay. It's totally fine. What say you, Thur? What say thee? Yeah, we're pretty set. I mean, he does have that effect that he can potentially destroy us with this thing. Although Magistus victorious. But he's going to use it now. For some reason. Okay. Ditching Magistus to negate the effect and destroy one of my cards. Goodness gracious. He really doesn't want Savior on the board, I guess. Alright. Well, that is unfortunate. I mean, luckily I can do it again, but... that means the king is not going to be quite as big as I'd like him to be. Unfortunate. That's the one downside to White Prince, is he costs you like a bunch of attack points to summon out the king from the deck. But it is what we have to do. So we'll summon out the king. He's 3,000, which is, like, in the old days that would be fine, but nowadays if he's not at least 9,000 points, it's just not as good. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and use his effect, though. Of White Mare, I should say. Discarding that, we can bring back one of our banished monsters. And we're going to bring back the Lady in White. That way we have a little bit of defense from spell traps and the like. Let's see. Man, I really wish I could use my field spell, but unfortunately I cannot. Unfortunately not. So let's just go ahead with battle now. Let's see. I can't destroy this with card effects. This only works. See. This does steal my stuff, so I should get rid of this guy. I don't trust him. No, I don't. And we'll see about destroying this. I mean, what my opponent else might have, I don't know. Maybe there's a Magistus card that's a battle trap of some form? Possibly. I don't think so. Doesn't really feel like the archetype that would have battle traps. Anyway, now that we've done all of that, anything else we'd like to do? Not really. I think we'll be okay for now. For now, we're okay. You know, he's got this big old Zoro Magistus thing, and it doesn't really do anything. because it only stops like extra deck shenanigans, and I don't really need the extra deck except for extra things. I'm all about the main deck for the most part, and my king is bigger than he is, so we're pretty set in that regard. And the king, thanks to the lady, he's unaffected by spell traps. He can't be beaten in battle. Which is pretty good. I mean, the lady's susceptible, but he doesn't know that. Or maybe he does, I don't know. This card's pretty old. If you couldn't tell from all the cobwebs, she's kind of an old lady, but maybe my opponent doesn't know that. We'll see in a minute. You set that card, it could be a good card for all it. How does that work? Aha! Unaffected. Now it was only for that one spell trap, but it's okay. So, let's see. Negate the effects of all face monsters until the end of the turn. This is turn. Someone takes no damage, he's applying blah blah blah. My monster's still bigger than yours, you know. Unless it was something else that I'm unaffected. Let's see, what's this doing? Sorry, this monster. Battles the monster, destroy that monster. Oh, that would have been bad if I didn't have the power of potatoes to protect me. The power of potatoes. Anyway. So yeah, that's what White Baking's hand effect is. He's the only hand trap we have other than Princess. He protects us. And now that he's been sent to the grave, let's get our new Moissanite. And let's see, who else do we want? It doesn't really matter. I guess I'll just get Skull Servant so I can discard it. It really doesn't matter. My monster's big and strong. Your monster, not as strong. Alright. Bit of a roundabout way to make our Skull Servant King big, but it has worked. Now, will my opponent allow us to have a turn so I can show off the new Moissanite? Hey, they did. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alrighty. Let's summon out the new dude. This is Moissanite. He is very powerful. When he is summoned, he searches out Skull Servant or anything that mentions it, including our new spell, the White Master. It's a pretty dang good card. Let me show you how he goes. This basically does, this guy, he gets piercing damage, which is amazing. But more importantly, I can revive any of my Skull Servants from my grave by sending Skull Servants from the deck to the grave. It's beautiful. Absolutely cracked card. Absolutely broken. Alright, now that we get all these, what can my opponent do? Because this protects all my low-level zombies. No! How could you do this? Oh. I guess that doesn't work with Call by the Grave. Okay, I was worried about that for a second. And my opponent does surrender, which unfortunately I was gonna try to get him to over 9,000 attack points. But you get the perfect idea of what we're trying to do, folks. This is not a deck that's about overcomplicated the game state like most decks do. It's all about just make big monster on the board. It's old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monster shenanigans at its finest. And we barely scratch the surface, because when you really get into Moissanite, and you really get into White Master, you start with both these cards in your hand opening turn. Oh boy. You can make this guy clear 12,000 easy. Easy stuff. Alright, well, let's go ahead for duel number 2. We got to show enough what this deck is about, but there's still more to do. We must reach for the heavens. This guy, I've seen him get over 18,000. Let's see if we can break even that. Alrighty, second opponent. Let's go and do it again. And this time, let's make our king bigger. Alright. Not bad. Always nice to see good old Foolish Burial. And I know that White Master theoretically replaces the card, but why not run 4 of the same card? I don't like it. Me no like you at all. I'm not a fan of that. No, sir. Not with this deck. Not at all. Not even in the flight of. Okay. So we're up against Kashtiras. This is the thing that lets him banish the top 3 cards of my deck to change it up to level 7, but he chose not to do that. Little odd. I guess I'll just activate Zombie World to turn him on to zombies. I don't think that actually affects him that much. Until the end of the next, Dimension Shifter. Ugh. Gross. Disgusting. Who makes these cards? I don't know. It's a silly card. Well, regardless of that, he can banish my field spell if he chooses to, but choosing not to. Interesting. Why would you not do that? Very strange indeed. Alright, I take a hit. I take all your bullets. I take them. It's not gonna do you much good. I still have more than half my life points. Alrighty. Alright, see, when a card opponent activates a monster effect, target a face-up card, banish it face down. Sounds cool. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with Foolish Burial. Just old school Foolish Burial. We're gonna ditch the Moissanite, because I want to show off how he works. So we're gonna activate the White Master. Very nice thing. Like I said before, we're just gonna start ditching Skull Servants to the graveyard, bringing them back. And Moissanite, he searches out all the Skull Servants. So we're gonna use this effect, bring back Moissanite. And in this situation, you just hate my graveyard. Why? Why are you such a butt? Okay. Well, if that's the way you want to do this, young man, I see where this is going. Send the prince. Alright. Okay. You just don't like my graveyard. I see how it is. I am picking up where this is going down. Let's go ahead and... Thinking about this. Activate King Sarcophagus. He's more likely to banish this than anything, but if I get White Baking off at least, I can get another Moissanite, and that'd be pretty good, because then I can still do stuff with Moissanite. So I'll get Moissanite, we'll get White Sworn, and we'll discard Womfin. Go ahead. Banish me. I dare you. Oh, you're gonna regret that. Oh boy. You're gonna regret that once I summon forth the Moissanite. It will be negated, but that's not important. That's not important at all. Let's see. How many Skull Servants do we have in the graveyard? 1, 2, 3. Only 4. That's not many at all. I mean, it'll be 5 thanks to White Sworn, but it's still not great. Let's see here. Let me think about how I want to go about this. My opponent's playing all this grave hate, and I hate it. Unironically, I hate it. Unironically. Alright, we'll banish that. Let's get back the prince. I think I can still do something here. And that something involves something a little snarky. We're going to summon out this thing. Flying Mary, the Wandering Ghost Ship. If you're wondering why we're playing Zombie World in this deck at all, Moissanite and White Master do restrict you to zombie summons. But because we've turned everything into zombies, I can summon my Horuses anyway. Very cool. Alright, so let me double check that I can... Okay, we'll use Flying Mary's effect. I can destroy a monster that is weaker than Imseti. Let's get rid of that. Get out of here. You ain't welcome in these parts, Pilgrim. I just don't have many skulls at the moment. Well, let's see. Barring 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's just so small, though. I want my monster to get huge. Huge, I tell you. I mean, 7,000 is not like a bad attack. It's just like, compared to what I know it can be, that's like tiny and minuscule. Anyway, we win the duel anyway, because that was going to be an OTK, but my boy can get huge, and my opponent would just leave the graveyard alone. I hate it when people just like no to the graveyard. I get it to a degree, but at the same time, stop. Just stop doing this to my boy Skull Servant. Stop it. All right, let's go for third duel though. We got time for another duel, maybe 2 more duels. We'll see how it goes. But let's go into the third duel. With any luck, my opponent won't hate on the grave enough so that I can summon that giant, beautiful King of the Skull Servants. Alright, everybody, on third duel, the fight in third. Very appropriate fight in third. And let our bone go first. That's fine. That's what we want to happen. We're all about that going second beatdown, baby. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, we've got our White Prince. We got a Banshee. Got a Foolish. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. The Horus is a little bit of an eh. But, you know, we'll make do with that. We'll make do with that. So what is our opponent doing? Hard to say. 13 card extra deck's a little weird, but... Oh, of course, it's Mr. Rune. Everyone loves Mr. Oh, I don't like Mr. Rune at all. Partly because I don't like my cards being banished. Partly because I really do not like how their field spell is set up. Alright, this is the one that adds you the field spell, I would assume. Yeah, Molcharmy's Mr. Rune. Yeah, this is not going to be a fun duel at all. No, not even a little bit. So what are you going to do? Play no punks on top of this. Okay. Okay. Was not expecting that, but okay. Get Sharakusai. Okay, gonna fusion summon somebody. Summoning out your fish. Alright. I mean, the one plus to all this is that my opponent clearly has no spells left in their hand, so with any luck, that means none of the Mr. Rune stuff on my turn. But we'll see, because I don't remember the whole combo of Punk, but I know it can end in some pretty big monsters. Because this is going to let him summon out 2 Punks with different names. Then he can use both of their effects. This gets a spell, this gets a monster. Alright. Gonna get... Oh shoot, I didn't get to see what it was. Extreme Session, the other feels... Okay. What was the point of Runick Fountain? I mean, I'm fine with you getting rid of it, but what was the point? Okay, now it is our turn. Let's see. Little Knight and a Psychic again, Punisher. I mean, that's not bad, I guess. Okay. Let's activate a Foolish Barrel and see where this goes. Or she. I mean, Psychic again, Punisher. That doesn't do that much. I mean, I can just beat over the darn thing. That's the thing. That's the sad part. It's a nice big synchro, but I can just punch it in the face. That's all I really need to do. All right, let's go ahead and use our White Baking. See where this goes. I mean, he's got the Little Knight. Not too like that. It's not bad at all. Okay, so White Sworn. Let's get Moissanite. We'll ditch our White Prince, and we'll be all set to go from there. I mean, we have to worry about the Little Knight at all times, but, you know, I'm not too worried about the darn thing. Really not. So, let's go ahead and get Moissanite on the board. He's a knight with a sword, you know. He's prepared for battle. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's search out. In this particular situation, I could go for another White Master, but White Princess has literally done nothing today, so why the heck not? You know, sometimes just do something different. Go for White Princess. Use her effect. I mean, she's the original setter-upper. Just sends Prince to the grave. Activates his effect. All the good stuff. Alright. It's a little unfortunate. I don't have any way of getting Banshee in the grave at the moment. Unless White Lord is, like, really nice to me and mills one for me. That'd be great. Let's see. Nope, not yet. We're good. Well, okay. How many say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Okay, 10's not bad. 10 is not bad at all. I will take 10. Alright, let's go ahead and go into our Vampire the Sucker. We'll activate... Actually, let's go for White Master first. Let's go for White Master real quick. Little Knight. Okay, you're gonna banish. You don't want me to draw an extra card. Okay, I understand. I understand. I understand. Okay, White Sworn, do your thing, please. And we'll just mill 10. Nice. Okay, go. Ooh, goes a key. Do we have anybody in the graveyard we want to banish? I guess I could banish Banshee. That's kind of redundant, so I won't do that. I'm not going to do that if it's completely redundant. But we'll go ahead and banish a Banshee. Get out Zombie World. That way we can both have a field spell. Do we have a King in the Grave? Surprisingly, no. So let's go ahead and use White Master's effect. We're just gonna send... doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters too much. Oh, it is special some part. We'll bring back the Princess. I have a plan here. We'll ditch the King, bring back the Princess. We're gonna use the Princess's effect because it's not a once per turn at all. Sending another Prince, and then we'll ditch Princess, which would normally weaken this, but I have more life than him, so that's not going to do anything to this monster. But by banishing the White Sworn, I can bring back the King. And he's going to be absolutely massive. 14,000 points. Start the battle phase. This card gets attacked with the difference between your White's points and opponents. Neat. Neat. Your monster's going to get like 1,800 attack points. Normally, that'd be pretty good. But in this case, it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna punch him for game. There you go. There you go. That's close to what we want to see. Not a big fancy board. When the horses get involved in this, it gets to a big fancy board. Well, that's pure and simple. But Skull Servants, I almost said Summon Skull, but I stopped myself. Skull Servants are all about big chonkin monster. Very cool. Let's go ahead for one more. I think it'll be a little longer today, but that's okay. I'm always a fan of the Skull Servant. So let's go for one more duel and see if we can just get a 4-0. See if we can get like the horses involved in all this, because you know they're supporting us from the sidelines. I'd like to give them a little bit of something. Alright, everybody, our fourth and final duel of the day, the last chance at romance. I mean, it's been a pretty damn good day. You know, we've done some pretty good things with our Skull Servant boys. We got to show up a little bit of what like the new stuff is. It's still the same song and dance, but it's like way more fun to do. So we'll see what happens in this final duel. Maybe the horse line will come up. Maybe we'll have a big crazy board, possibly, potentially, with a hand like this. I can believe it. What do we have? No, that's not good. That's pretty bad, actually. We're up against Malice. Please just don't have Macrocosmos. Please don't let that be Macrocosmos. My choice to not play. What is it doing? Okay, well, I'm basically just dead. I'm legit just dead to rights. I can't get around Macrocosmos. Which sucks, because I had, like, such a good hand. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, so, you know, we showed off the power of this deck. Here's the weakness, is that sometimes when you play straightforward Yu-Gi-Oh, your opponent plays Macrocosmos, and then you're just kind of dead. You know, unfortunately, while we can play around some grave hate, this is just, like, no grave allowed. Oh man, Malice. I mean, I think you guys are actually kind of cool. I just hate that you play this. Cards like this. You don't need this. You can be good without this. I'm telling you. Alright, well. You know what? I might be going down. But I have a hammer. And therefore I will use that hammer. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna hit you with this hammer if I'm allowed. No, I'm not allowed to do that either. Not even allowed to hit them with the hammer. That's the sad thing. All right, and street time. Alright, everybody. So Skull Servants of 2024 with all the no. Alrighty, everybody. So the Kings of Bone Town. We went 3 out of 4. Pretty dang sweet. We got to do a lot of simple things with this deck. There are more complicated combos when the horse lineup gets really invested into what you're doing. But for the most part, it is Skull Servants. I keep wanting to call them Summon Skull, but I'm stopping myself on the track. Skull Servants doing their thing, sending themselves to the graveyard, making the king massively huge. You know, 14,000 is not too shabby. I've seen him get bigger, but it requires like certain cards being in the hand, certain cards just, you know, not being interrupted. But you know what? 14,000 is perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable for the king. He was a nice big dude today. So So I really like this new support. The Moissanite is just beautiful, beautiful card, amazing card, perfectly balanced violence, I have to say. And I really like the new White Master spell because it's just really powerful. Non-once per turn milling in this day and age. Yeah, it only works for this archetype, but that's no problem for me, not at all. So yeah, I really had a good fun time today playing some Skull Servants. And you know, with some other new decks getting some support, I'm looking forward to like getting more Yu-Gi-Oh out this next couple weeks of December, right before the 100 days Yu-Gi-Oh drop, and that's when like the main thing's gonna be. But I would like to look at the Dragon Ruler, since Konami actually did make a light and dark, which I never thought that they would be crazy enough to do. So I'd like to take a look at that. We definitely gotta make like a Christmassy themed deck for something. Other than that, depends on what comes out. And we'll take a look at some other new stuff depending on what comes out in the next couple weeks. But for now, here is the deck list. If y'all are interested in playing you some Skull Servants, want to try them out, give my build a go. Have yourself a good time with it. So, for the main deck, we have 2 copies of the OG Skull Servant. He's a bit of a brick. If you only play 1, that's fine. You're just taking away some of your attack points and all that good stuff. The usual Horus package, you know, 3 Imseti, 1 of each of the other 3. I don't need to explain the whole lot of these guys. They're mostly part of a discard engine, but they can also be parts of ranks 8s, and you can beat over with them and all that good stuff. They're just, you know, it's the basic package. 2 copies of Necrowolf Banshee, because you want to be getting your field spell on board if you want to be doing Moissanite plus the Horuses as well, plus Zombie World, just disruptive in general. 2 copies each of Gozuki and Mezuki, the terrible twosome. Very nice zombie support, just, you know, foolish barrel on legs with Gozuki. Get sent to the grave, you can banish a zombie from the grave, whether it be Banshee or a Horus that's been turned into a zombie. Summon zombie from hand, and I don't really need to explain Mezuki, but banish him, he's a monster born from the grave. For all the zombies, that's what he did. 2 copies of White Princess. With all the new support, you don't need Princess quite as much, but she's still a nice thing to discard to weaken your opponent's monsters, or summon her to send a White Prince to the graveyard. 2 ladies in white to go with our 2 Skull Servants. Depending on how many regular Skull Servant you play, you match that with your ladies in white to go with your princes. 3 of the White Baking, never play less than 3. Amazing card, protects your monsters from being destroyed, and you can just, you know, if he's sent to the graveyard, you get search out 2 Skull Servants, discard 1, search out whoever you want, plus your White Prince, where do you go, White Prince, or whatever you need at that particular instance. You have to discard 1 card, it can be anything you want. So, amazing card. 2 copies of White Mare. I considered just playing 1 of, and honestly 1 of would be just as much fine. Really depends on where you want to go, but White Mare is just a nice guy. You can discard him, get one of your banished Skull Servants either back in the grave or summon, depending on who it is. It just depends on, you know, if it's Skull Servant or White Mare goes to the graveyard. If it's the lady or the king, you get to bring them back. Very nice card. 3 copies of the White Lord. Just amazing card. You don't need to run no grass in this deck. If you know, this is just as good. You can mill it up to 10, 12, even plus that cards just by discarding this guy, and all, you know, you can even send him from the field to the graveyard. That's the amazing thing about White Sworn. You just gotta mill your deck out, and you can banish him in that same turn to revive your Skull Servant or King of Skulls from the graveyard. Beautiful card, never play less than 3. 3 of the new Moissanite, because he lets you search out any of your Skull Servant cards, gives you another normal summon. It's an amazing card. It's a normal or special summon. Search Skull Servant gives you an extra normal summon. What else is there not to love about it? 3 of the original White Prince. Consider we're only playing like 2 of the Skull Servants. You could theoretically just play 2 of this dude, but I like the consistency of having 3. And there's no real issue. Like, it's not like there's any reason to not run 3. I mean, just send him to the graveyard with White Master. You're all good. Even if you're not just sending out 2 other monsters, it's just fine. Plus, you can banish him to get out the King of the Skull Servants as well. By the way, we're playing 3 of the King of the Skull Servants because consistency is very important. We want to make sure that the King gets on the board one way or another. And plus, it's really funny when you summon out multiple of this thing, and they're all over 10,000 attack points with piercing damage thanks to White Master. Big numbers. 1 copy each of 1-for-1 and Foolish Barrel, because that's all you're legally allowed to do. 3 of the King Sarko, very nice just to discard whatever you need, set up the graveyard, etc., etc. 3 of the new White Master, because it's a soft once per turn, gives you pierce damage to your king. That's great. But it also just sends a Skull Servant to revive a Skull Servant. Build up your board. Set up your graveyard with whoever you need. Be it Prince or Baking or Light Lord or whoever. It's pretty damn good. Locks you into zombies. Doesn't matter. That's why we have Zombie World. By the way, 2 copies Zombie World that start turning everything to zombies. As for the extra deck, we have things like Mirage. If you have like a totally dead hand, but you start off with White Baking, just link this off for Mirage. It's just an emergency sort of thing. It would usually be Link Rebo, but he's still banned. Hashtag unban Link Rebo. We have 1 copy of the Flying Mary, which is a nice link too, which works with high-level zombies, so in case your horses get turned into zombies, this is a nice monster to have. We have 1 Adventurous Savior. Well, all of our monsters in the main deck are small, therefore his usual effectiveness is not as potent. It's a monster that lets me just send a monster to the graveyard, so, why not? 1 Pentastag, which isn't as necessary anymore, for the obvious reason that White Master gives us piercing damage anyway, but if for whatever reason you don't have White Master, consider this your backup. 1 copy of Vampire Sucker, just a nice little zombie support card, and it lets me draw a card when I special summon a zombie from the graveyard. Of course, we have Little Knight. Don't need to explain Little Knight. She's just there to interrupt my opponent. We have Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, which is left over from an older build, but you could theoretically still make the darn thing. It's not as useful for obvious reasons, but if you're losing your King Sarko to something and your opponent's not dead for some reason, then you might need to link off your Horuses into this, so maybe, why not? 1 Underworld Gods of Closed World, always good to have this thing in case your opponent's making their own boss monsters or what have you. Swarming in our deck is really restricted to what we're doing, and we are just trying to link everything off to get this king big. But if you need it, you have it. 1 copy of Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. He's an Omni Negate that can attack directly and pop things when he does damage. He's really cool. He's one of the only negates we're running in this deck, but he's a really cool zombie Xyz monster, and he works well with the deck, and he just gives a little added bit of protection when you go in for that big hit. 1 Santa upon the Sky Prison. I know it's kind of ironic that I don't like Grave Hate, and yet we're playing a Grave Hate card, but this doesn't hate the grave so much as it just says, graveyard, you're in timeout. And depending on if we get the setup already, depending on my opponent, it's one of those situational cards, which sometimes we use it, and sometimes we don't. 1 copy of Dingirzu for a little bit of protection and sending cards to the graveyard. We have number 38 for stopping spells and things. Zombie Vampire is one of the more important monsters because he mills 4 cards when he's using his effect, and I can revive a monster that gets milled. So, mill a bunch of Skull Servants, bring back a king that I milled, what have you. Or if I say, I don't know, milled Moissanite perhaps, bring him back. Pretty dang sweet. 1 number 22 Zombie Stein is a big beat stick. That's his whole purpose in life. Beaten, sticking. That's what he does. And then I'm just doing the new number S38 Titanic Galaxy, which is a pretty nice dude for getting rid of back row cards, which unfortunately would have really helped against macro if I could have actually had a chance to summon the darn thing out, which I unfortunately did not. But if your opponent is playing a back row heavy deck and you're able to summon this guy out early with the Horus line, then that's a pretty good way to make way for the king. After the side deck, things like more Bazookies. If you want to try the Danger Engine, that's just fine. It's more randomized, but it's fun too. So things like Chupacabra, Tsuchinoko, Jackalope, Nessie, the usual culprits there. 1 Runick Eternity if you want to just annihilate your opponent's back row and that sort of thing, nuke the board, what have you. You have Vampire Fascinator if you want to steal your opponent's stuff in order to make the vampire zombie. Although this isn't necessary because we can already do that, but if you want to give it a shot, it is there. We have Grass Looks Greener if you want to just pour a bunch of cards in here, go right ahead. Things like Triple Tactical Balance, draw more cards so you can get hit by hand traps. Things like Triple Tactical Thrust for the exact same reason. Card Destruction, pretty basic thing, just discard your hand, get a new one. Depends entirely on what's in your hand when you play the darn thing. Against certain opponents, it's a bad idea. If you're playing against Dark Worlds, you do not want to play this card ever. So it all depends on what you want to do. And then of course we have Call by the Grave, which in hindsight, maybe that would have been a good idea. But you know what? I wanted to play a deck without the darn thing for once. So yes, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Another episode of Check This Out. If you liked it, like buttons are appreciated. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Trying to get to 875 subs by the end of the year. That'd be pretty sweet. And next time, which will be sooner rather than later, we'll be playing the Dragon Rulers. I have a Dragon Ruler deck. It's in here somewhere. I don't remember where it is, but I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna fix it up because it's pretty much done. I just gotta fit in the new guys with it. But yes, thanks for watching. Until next time, everybody, y'all stay safe and happy. You have a wonderful day. Until next time, y'all take care.